Everyone. Welcome back to Tech Talk Tuesday. My name is Dan from Insane Forensics, and today we're going to talk about going from nation state malware sample to identifying the attack techniques. The goal with this is to help give you an opportunity when you're threat hunting to look for more indicators or to use threat intel reports better. So let's hop right into it. So the sample we're going to talk about today is from BlackEnergy. In this malware sample, specifically BlackEnergy 2 or 3, it dates back to at least 2014. And this has been used pretty extensively in spear phishing, both in Ukraine and Poland, against a variety of different groups. So everything from state media to critical infrastructure to government and other companies. This malware itself, so it drops usually by embedded macros in Office documents. So someone opens up the Office document, clicks on the run script option. And in times you've seen CV 2014-1761, as well as other Microsoft Office CVs used to drop this. This spin across Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So it really goes across all of those different versions of Office formats. BlackEnergy itself, it's a modular Trojan, so they distribute out different DLLs, and each of these DLLs brings different capabilities from key logging to screenshots to remote desktop. So, starting with the BlackEnergy sample, how would you break that down into the attack techniques in less than 5 minutes? Now, for this one, there's a report out there. And so, what you can do is take that report hash and take it over to hybrid analysis, which is a free option, virus total, which is a paid option. You have to have a subscription for that, or one of the other malware repositories out there. There are some on GitHub, there are some across just other general sites. But in this case, we're picking one off of hybrid analysis. If it's not on hybrid analysis, you're going to want to try to download it and bring it over because the approach we're showing today is what works off of hybrid analysis. So, quick overview for those not familiar with hybrid analysis. What it is it's the community version of CrowdStrike's Falcon Sandbox. And so, if you're a paying Falcon Sandbox customer, you do get kind of a more fully featured version, but hybrid analysis gives you access to one to where you can run samples through. One of the big limitations is there's only Windows 7 and Linux images. So if you're wanting Windows 10, unfortunately, that's not in the free hybrid analysis version. And also, the other limitation to note on this, as with Virus Total, it's important to know that any sample you push up is going to be publicly available. Now, people can request for samples to be pulled down, but again, this isn't where you would want to share malware that might expose company data from. But what hybrid analysis does is it does both static and dynamic analysis. So, static analysis, looking at the structure of the file. So, if it's a portable executable, you'll have the P headers, you'll have imports, you'll have strings. Static analysis takes a look at the file as itself. Hybrid analysis also does dynamic analysis. And dynamic analysis is actually what runs through the sandbox and what we'll see generate the different MITRE techniques. So in our case, hybrid analysis had one of the BlackEnergy samples from our report. As we can see here, we see some static indicators. So at the top, it's gone ahead and it's pulled things like the MIME type. It's classified sections of the file. So we see it's mostly an Excel spreadsheet with a little bit of script that we'll talk about later. And the other nice thing of running it through hybrid analysis is this OSINT section. And so in this case, actually, one of the reports that we pulled this sample from, the We Live security ones on there. But running it through, what's awesome here is you've already gained the ability to say, hey, maybe I haven't read one of these reports, one of these other analysis. And what that can help you do is widen kind of your aperture on number of people that have looked at it and maybe level of detail across. So the dynamic side, like I said, the sandbox actually runs it through. What's cool with also this approach is as the sandbox runs it through, it takes screenshots. And so the screenshots tab there, you see this is very clearly an Office document that it's opened up and executed. And the other nice part with dynamic analysis is you do also get those sub processes, which you can see here. You can see the parent and child process hierarchy, and in this case, the command lines there. It also analyzes drop files. So in this case, it was an Excel document that dropped two scripts and went off and ran them. And we'll talk about these a little more. But what's nice again is you can pivot across. But the focus of today, right, was to get to the MITRE attack techniques. So step two, once you have the file on hybrid analysis, is hybrid analysis. The newer version has this really handy MITRE attack techniques detection part of the report. And you see the little hourglass up there on view all details. And in this one, there's 29 indicators across 21 attack techniques. When you click on view all details, it takes you to the section you see at the bottom. And you have that split out between malicious indicators, suspicious indicators, and informative. And obviously, right, there's confidence here on hybrid analysis saying, hey, informative is something you should know about. It's not a smoking gun, or it's not, we can't confirm it's definitely bad, versus when it's in suspicious, it's going to be a little more, odd. If it's malicious, there's that higher confidence level. The other interesting thing you'll note on there is for T1204002 you see for malicious files, sometimes you will unfortunately get a confidential indicator to where on this version, hybrid analysis won't show it out in the community edition because they don't want to expose out PII or other information. So sometimes you will run into that case to where you might not see the indicator. But in this case, let's pick up T1059003, so Windows command shells. So again, and this technique is just adversaries may use the Windows command line. If you click on that informative indicator, it'll actually take you down to a section that'll say, hey, this is the actual shell command that ran or that the sandbox saw as this behavior runs. So again, you don't just have the mapping of T1059003, the Windows command shell was there, but you also actually see what ran when this sample was executed in the box. You get more details. And this can help you pivot. This can help you identify maybe more opportunities to go look for logs or to go look for the behaviors around this malware sample. You need to be mindful of the report date. So in the case of this sample, it had been run in 2016 twice, and then 2017 once, and 2022. I was actually the one that kicked it off in 2022 for this sample, because in the older hybrid analysis reports, this feature wasn't in there. So this is the MITRE attack feature. That MITRE attack table is a newer feature in there. And so in this case, if one of these older reports is there, you can actually just go and click the reanalyze button. It'll run it back through the sandbox, and that newer report will have the MITRE attack techniques table in there. So in summary, I mean, this got us to the end. So we started with step one of trying to get the sample up there. Again, getting it up to hybrid analysis, checking hybrid analysis's MITRE attack chart. From that got us to that table to where we could pivot technique by technique to see what the sandbox saw. And again, it's important as you do this, you need to be mindful of the report date. This is one quick way to get the attack techniques. It's not the other. It's also important to understand there's going to be limitations. So for malware that looks for virtual machines, or some malware actually looks for sandboxes, it might not detonate or execute properly in there. And so what you see when you're running it through a sandbox might be different than what it does on, a non-VM on a non-computer. Smart malware writers might put logic in there to basically say, okay, if I think I'm running in hybrid analysis, I'm just going to head and stop executing. So again, thanks for joining us today. We just wanted to show you one quick way to go end to end. Keep in touch. We're open to ideas. And yeah, thanks a lot for joining in, and hope to see you next week.